What is going on, everyone? Hope you all doing pretty well. My webcam looks like it's playing up. Give me a sec. Let me know you guys can hear me down in the comments, and then maybe we can get started. How's everyone doing? All right, perfect. Can see people responding. When I click on your stuff, it might show up weird when it shows up on camera, and that's because I'm forcing StreamYard to use dark mode. Otherwise, my face gets washed out because they don't have a dark mode by default, and their whole interface is basically like bright white. So good to see everybody can hear me. How's it going, everyone? Brian Thomas, Kiwi Cards, Multiverse, Canel188, Brendan Ryan, how's it going, mate? Parabellum Collectibles. Like, I think your one is showing a bit inverted because I'm, trying to force dark mode. So I do apologize if your logos are not showing up. But tell StreamYard to fix their crap because nothing is nothing is worse than not having a dark mode or anything like that. Or you are very lucky you said this because I almost gave a spoiler away. Now I need to bite my tongue because that was going to be the main talking point for today. So hopefully no one else spoils it in the chat. But this one should be pretty quick today. I'm probably only going to be online, I should say, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. Just to chat with you guys. I had a few things listed in the title, like you said, or like you can see around, triplicates. We can talk to that, the Repack scammer with Justin Gamble. There's a mini update I want to talk to on that as well, and then just general hobby talk. So if anyone's got any questions, and then we can go from there. I will say this, right? Chelsea drew 2-2 this morning after winning 2-0, and then not long after that, Volkanovski fought. So it's not been a super exciting morning. I will say that, mate. So it is what it is. What? Do you want me to spoil it for you or not? I won't tell you what happens, but I'll tell you if you got the W or the L. But it's just a disappointing way to start the day. How's it going, John? What's everyone up to? I know it's Saturday for you guys in the States. Anything on tonight, any sport or anything like that? We can say, instead of they all won, we have a term here we use when your team plays crap over here in Australia, you say the game won, so the UFC won with today's fights. All right, you want the answer? Volkanovski, unfortunately, spoilers, got knocked out in the first round, so pretty disappointed. It was weird. He looked off at the weigh-ins yesterday, and I noticed he looked a lot smaller than he usually does. Like, he looked like he was very much underweight, but he even though he was bare bones because he cut, I think, 14 kilos in a few days, so it was insane of a weight cut for him because he took the fight on 12 days notice if nobody knows all that much, but he just didn't look right. And then he said in the post-fight interview that he felt strong in the cage, but first couple of clinches, he did okay, but it just didn't look like himself. So I think I think the cut hurt him. He won't use that as an excuse, but it is what he is. He almost started crying at the post-fight press conference, actually, because it sounds like he's been having a tough time mentally. So I hope he's doing okay. But yeah, it was a head kick. Head kick dropped him, and then ground and pound finished it very quickly. Inside, I think it was the first 3 minutes or something like that. It was a weird fight. Like, he took it on, yeah. Like, I think you've got to give him respect for taking it on short notice, but it's a hard fight. Islam as well is, really big for the lightweight division, right? He could technically fight up a weight class or two and still do very, very well. And he's, very, very big for his division. So he's probably the hardest one for Volk to fight at lightweight. And I don't think he had a chance to take it on short notice, unfortunately. Like, yeah, you'd like to see him win, but he just couldn't get going. And he was sort of doing okay, like I said, but that head kick rocked him pretty hard. And if you've seen his other fights, right, he's got a strong head. He's taken a lot of big hits, especially from Max Holloway in that trilogy that they fought, and then Yair Rodriguez hit him hard. So did Brian Ortega in their fight too. So I think the weight cut maybe impacted him a bit too much. I've got a few thoughts on that. They need to introduce hydration tests. If you guys follow UFC quite closely, you'll know that they don't test that. ONE FC they do, which basically prevents fighters from cutting too much weight. And him having to cut 14 kilos in the space of 12 days is too much. So it is what it is. Disappointing, but he's the GOAT of his division. He'll go back down to featherweight and clean up there. I just hope that the mental side of things that he's talked about aren't going to impact him, too much down the line. I hope he's not. I hope this is not his downfall, unfortunately. But he is old. He's 35, and that's pretty old for the fight game, especially something like the UFC, right? How's it going, Scott? Can't wait to hear the tea on Scamble. There's a few more things I want to talk to. There's going to be another video coming. I've not yet recorded it. I'll give you guys some background in a sec. I'll just go through the next few comments. Yeah, he hasn't uploaded for a few days, and I think that's pretty telling, in my opinion. The Phillies and Diamondbacks are playing. I think everyone's gone mental for the Diamondbacks, right? I saw some stuff pop up on my social media about people going crazy for them. John Reckoning thinks Justin Gamble is a CIA agent. SCR thinks he's a scammer. What say you? Why can't he be all of them? Maybe he's all of the above. No one loses in UFC or boxing. They all win as they still get a healthy payday. The one downside is for UFC, doesn't, unless you're top of the crop, you're not getting a whole lot. But Volkanovski would have made a crap ton of money for that fight. So, at least he's sort of setting up his family for life, even if it's impacting his, personal health and things like that. Yep, fight too short notice. All Blacks in the World Cup final. Where's Australia? Well, we're on the flight back home. And as you can see, another image is showing up. Inverted, so I do apologize, Kiwi Cards, because I'm forcing dark mode. Appreciate the support, mate. Nice of you to Google for in the final. Rugby union is dead in this country, mate. Nobody really gives a crap about it, unfortunately. And if you would have seen my mail day today, you would know exactly why I won't be using PWCC again. Now, I wasn't using them. I already told people that I wasn't using them, but Jason won a card. He sold it to me, and they stuffed us up with that. So we're looking into it, but it's total BS. But what's interesting with Justin Gamble, if I bring up this comment again, so he reached out to me, after my second video on him. So to give you guys some context, I did the first video. He messaged me, basically said, I'm going to do a response here. You can have a look at it before I post it. Out of respect for you is the words he used. And then we had a bit of a chat there. And I said to him that I liked what he did initially with his response video. That was my initial first reaction, just to take some sort of accountability. In my follow-up video, I gave a bit more context to that and said, was that just for show? Is he trying to save face? Is he trying to hide the fact that he's a scammer? All that sort of stuff, right? And I gave direct responses to a lot of his comments. He then responded back to me and said, it seems you're still upset. Let's have a chat. And if you go back to my first video as well, I mentioned that I'd wanted to do a live stream with him or have a chat with him at the very least. He said he was willing to do that. He messaged me, like I said, right after my second video, said, let's do a chat, let's do a live stream. Unfortunately, I had really bad food poisoning on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the most part. Today's now Sunday in Australia, so I wasn't able to organize it. And I've messaged him a few times in the last 24 hours that he's not got back to me. He has left me on red. Now, I'm not sure if he's trying to avoid doing that conversation now. If he still wants to do the live stream, we can organize something or do a pre-recorded video as well, just to chat through it. But it's interesting that he's sort of ghosted me now. Now, he might have something on, so he deserves the benefit of the doubt there. But given what we've seen with some of his posts, like somebody said a bit earlier, he's not posted a video in a few days when he was doing daily content, or even sometimes 2 videos per day. So that seems, a bit strange, right? The fact that he's sort of disappeared. He's also mentioned on his Instagram that he's going to revive his old YouTube account, which has 300,000 subscribers. He hasn't posted on that in 7 months, but now he's looking at doing it again. So, all the puzzle pieces are essentially falling into place, right? This guy looks like he did his last ditch attempt to sort of make some money back within this hobby. He got some pushback, and now he's sort of running away with the tail between his legs, or so it looks, right? So if you want to have a chat, I'm more than willing to, but stay tuned for a video. If he doesn't get back to me, basically in the next 12 hours, there's going to be a video on Tuesday morning my time, which will be Monday night US time, because there's going to be some things there that I think I want to highlight a bit further that indicate maybe he's done a bit of a rug pull here. Now, again, that's my opinion, but stay tuned for that. I don't want to talk to it now, but there's something else coming in. It's going to be a lot more crude than the first 2 videos, that's for sure, because I won't be holding back that time. We've got Parabellum Collectibles. You talking rugby at Kiwi Cards, because no one follows rugby anymore. Rugby is actually pretty big, but I believe it's South Africa you guys are playing in the World Cup final, if I'm right, Kiwi. So go to the Springboks. Hopefully you don't hate me for that. See what else there is. yeah, you say basically if he was an informant or something, he would be a better. I think he's just very fake. Like he's peak influencer, right? He just reminds me of all those guys that were doing content, 5, 6, 7 years ago, which is when his main channel blew up, right? And he's right in there with that Jake Paul, that there's other influencers that I can't think of their names right now that got huge followings and all that sort of stuff. And it's just very fake. They're doing fake laughs within the videos. It's just not genuine at all. At least that's what it looks like. I like them, to be honest, but not enough to pay the price. It's the biggest thing that I have an issue with modern, sports cards is they're too expensive, right? Like if they were set to release, 5, 6, 7 years ago when a hobby box was maybe, $100 to $200 US or even Australian, and when the hobby boxes we're talking about here would be things like Select or Prism, that stuff would be very much worth chasing, but paying like $500, $600, if not more, and you're not going to get, decent cards, you're going to have QC issues, like that just ruins it for me. And it's the reason why, I can't get into them. I don't think it's justified to pay the prices. Now, people are doing it, but it's just an interesting one because I'm not sure if they're ever going to be worth anything, right? It's odd for me, but that's how I approach cards in general. Even though I collect cards, you can see a crap ton behind me. It's hard to justify paying the prices that people want. People bust these boxes or they go into breaks and it costs them a lot of money and then they're trying to sell it on the secondary market. I just feel like everything is too overpriced for niche stuff like that. Wrestling is obviously still super popular, but those cards have always been super niche. Same thing with soccer, same thing, with things like F1 and other, non-sport stuff or even more obscure sports stuff. These prices are sort of going crazy now and they are still lower than they were, the last 12 months when they first blew up, but you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I don't buy that whole story from PWCC, to be honest. And if you've seen my mail day today, basically, card that I bought or that Jason bought off PWCC that then sold to me had significant issues the second you see it in person. And you look at the PWCC scan and there's no evidence of the damage on the card, right? They've got these huge indents. You should check out the video because I can't show my card. It gets really blurry. I tried practicing before I came on, but it's crazy like how their scan didn't show it. Their description on their auction didn't show it, right? Imagine if that was a more expensive card. It's just crazy. They're just a dumb business that's sort of, trying to make it up as they go. Like they've obviously fired so many people since Fanatics came on board. They're like, I don't even know what the right term is. It's like a house of cards, basically. How's it going, mate? I had chicken pad thai. I went to the office for work, into the city, and then got that for lunch, decided to treat myself with bought lunch, pretty expensive. Had like little prawns in there, little shrimp in there, and I think they were the things that did it for me because I was freaking so sick. I basically got like half an hour's sleep on Thursday night, and I was basically bedridden all Friday, so it was pretty shit. Yeah, that's right. He says he got days worth of content, but he hasn't uploaded shit, so it doesn't look good. And it looks very, very poor. The optics are terrible for him right now. I wish it was a dodgy kebab, to be honest. My stomach is like a kebab is almost like me drinking water, if that makes sense. My body needs kebabs in order to survive, so definitely not a kebab. Likes knuckle sandwiches. I'm not sure who you're referring to there. Not sure who you're referring to here, Kiwi. Make some companies in the hobby look so amateur when you're packaging a product that is thousands without being knowledgeable. He's full of shit. And I think you're referring to Justin Gamble there. I think that's, very fair. There's a few talking points I'll give a very high level to now. One thing that I didn't like in his video that he put out the other day, his last video where he talked about his Discord, and I've already saved the video down, so if Justin wants to try and delete it after, good luck with that. But he said some things in there around the reason why he priced things the way that he did and that the market's come down so far and all that sort of stuff. And without going into too much detail to spoil my next video, it's like, what are you talking about, mate? Because the prices you're referencing are from, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months ago, right? The hobby's in a much better position now than it was 12 months ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So you're talking like the price decrease that has happened over the last 2 years has only happened in the last few months. It's like, that's not the case at all. And he's trying to paint a narrative of the hobby being and prices being in the shitter right now when you watch content and it's even guys that are breakers and stuff like that. And they're talking about how, it's somewhat exciting now because you can start buying cards again, for decent prices. So it's just weird how he's trying to paint that narrative on it when you've got the rest of the hobby getting excited about being able to buy things again. So I just found that a bit strange. Then you have an email I can contact about an amazing experience I'm going through at the moment. So it's either going to be in the description of this live. I can't recall if I put it within there, but if not, it'll be on the description of all my other videos. So just check it out there. It's danthecardman@outlook.com, but just copy and paste it from the description. I've got a lot of thoughts on this, so I'll save that for the next video because that's what the whole video is essentially going to be about. I think what he's done there is essentially a rug pull. I think it's total bullshit, and like I said, I don't want to spoil it because there's a few things I want to specifically talk to, but I need to think through it a little bit more about how I want to go about wording it. Yeah, like, again, it's sort of like he's damage controlling for sure. And somebody sent me a message actually that he posted within the Discord, and he mentioned that he's talking to his agent again about trying to work out what to do next. And I'm assuming his agent, and I found it funny that he had an agent because I don't know why. Maybe he needs one. But maybe they've told him not to talk about this sort of stuff anymore. Keep it out of sight, out of mind. If you watch, sports card radio all the time, the one thing that those guys say is when they're going after people, the thing that gets these guys into trouble and gets, sports card radio to make, 50 more videos about them is because these guys will often reply and try and defend themselves, which you have a right to defend, but they try and lie their way through something, right? Instead of just taking it head on. So maybe that's what this guy's trying to do, because the more he's sort of poking the bear with these bullshit apologies and all that sort of stuff, the more hate he's going to get. So it is what it is. And he'll obviously have, ill will towards me, even though he says he doesn't. Like, considering my video is the reason why he's basically had all this stuff come to the forefront. But what the idiot needs to keep front of mind is you go watch his streams, go watch all these videos from the last 2 months, 3 months, is people saying the same thing, right? And there's people in the comments from 2 months ago saying the same thing. So it's not like it's all happened because of me or anything like that. This is stuff that people have had issues with him for quite some time. So it's interesting. Let's see what happens next. Yeah, I mentioned taxes as well. I'm curious to see. Some people are saying he's taken the money through his business, the 1340 Collective or whatever it is. It's a streetwear apparel business, which I've also had some dirt shared with me about. But it's interesting because maybe that's some of it, maybe it's not, but it all has to be looked at through the same lens, right? I'm not sure what this comment was referring to, but I'm glad you agree. Thank you. The other side of the argument is cards are about as much as expensive gamble as repacks, no guarantee from either for value. Like, are you talking about just buying boxes in general? Because like he tried to use that excuse around, boxes of cards, you don't know what you're going to get, all that sort of stuff. But boxes of cards have checklists. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get, but they have pack odds, right? Sort of what to sort of expect. You're going to get one auto, all that sort of stuff. I just think his biggest issue was the total lack of transparency and the way he was selling it to people. And when he was giving people values of floors, average pricing, ceiling and all that sort of stuff, it changed every time he talked about it. You've basically got him jokingly saying he's going to scam people with those repacks in videos, right? And you could say, yeah, he's just joking, right? And he might be, but when you're seeing it happen a lot in every single video, and he's joking about ripping people off, and he's using kids to go to people's tables to influence them to sell him the kid cards for cheaper for these repacks, it's like it's a weird culture that you sort of pick up on eventually, right? And it's one of those things where you start seeing it happen at multiple instances. Okay, are you no longer just joking, right? Are you sort of, doing it right in front of us, but you're just trying to pretend that you're joking? So again, I can see where people come from when they say, what, boxes of cards are also bullshit, but yeah, they are, and they're bullshit. This guy was sort of lying to people about what was within these packs and the value of them and all that sort of stuff. Justin got a fat whatnot deal, saw them today at the Vegas show. Filming about it, was he filming for himself or was he filming on behalf of D&E? They're like the repackers or breakers, whatever they are. Was it for them? Interesting that whatnot would want to partner with him, but not overly interesting considering the bullshit that's gone on their platform in recent months as well. So it is what it is. PWCC never responded to my concerns about the auction poor form. I don't think they will. Interesting thing about PWCC, you guys will remember I did a number of videos about those Lamar Jackson 1-of-1 duplicates that were sold on their platform. And we've since come to learn that the person who got those duplicates graded has actually patch swapped some of those cards, because some of those cards have been confirmed to have been patch swapped, so they're not actually duplicates. And PWCC were helping me work out what was happening and all that sort of stuff, and they basically stopped responding to me after a few months. So it's just weird from them. Like, mistakes happen. I don't think anybody gives a shit that mistakes happen. Nobody gives a shit that you as a business have made a mistake. But when you try and hide it, and when you try and not, work through something, and you're trying to shy away from a problem actually happening, it's weird. And they're one of those businesses that have done that consistently over the years. Even before the boom, they were terrible from that regard as well. So it's just disappointing. You'll see it, what day? It's Sunday. You see it basically in just under 48 hours, right? Yeah, under 48 hours. So Tuesday morning, it'll be 4 a.m. Australian time. It'll get released Sydney time. And then I think that is like 7 p.m. US time the day before. I'm not sure, but whatever time my usual videos come out, that's what time it's going to come out for you guys on Monday if you're based in the States. I'm sorry, my brain's not working right. I said earlier I had food poisoning the last few days, so I'm still trying to recover. So if I sound dumb, that's the reason why. Whatnot just loves people who completely lack integrity. I think they just don't give a shit, and they're just happy to make the money the way that they are. And I'm sure the way their T's and C's are structured, it sort of protects them and all that sort of shit. But it's just a mess. Like, it's such a terrible platform. And like I said, Fanatics Live, if Fanatics Live make the same fucking mistakes, and they're a bunch of idiots, because Whatnot has literally shown them what not to do, right? Whatnot have made so many mistakes. Fanatics can just use them as the perfect use case of what not to do and make everything okay. But whether we see that or not, that's another question. Gamble is in it for the buck. He's a hobby Kardashian. I think that's a fair thing to say. Would you say price drop or more of an adjustment to what cut? Like, I don't know. It's hard to always know, but I think I'd be shocked if we're at the floor, right? Just the way the economy is going with interest rates and inflation and cash rates and all that sort of stuff. You're like, yeah, reserve banks around the world have started to halt with the last two, rate hikes. They've not done them. They've kept things the same. I don't think we've seen the impact of those rate hikes just yet. Now, to give some guys like context, right? The US is my understanding they've got heavily fixed interest rates for the term of a home loan, right? But here in Australia, the vast majority of them are variable, right? They're variable rates. And when you do fix your loan, you can only fix it for like 1 to 5 years. And I think like 60% of the mortgages or something ridiculous like that in Australia are fixed during the COVID period when all the interest rates were reduced. So you're essentially going to have people in Australia go from having like a 1 to 2% interest rate to all of a sudden jumping to 5, 6, 7% overnight. And that's the case in some other countries, especially in Europe. So globally, we've not seen the impact of these cash rates and interest rate rises and all that sort of stuff yet. So I'd be shocked if we have seen the floor, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's just my opinion. That's his best mate. I'm not sure who you're referring to there. His agent, sorry. So is it his best mate? That's interesting, but I don't know a whole lot about the ginger guy. Is he the really tall dude with the beard and the half shaved head? Because that guy seems like a bit of a wanker. Not to be mean, but that's just my personal opinion. The card market can be hit hot or cold. Pessimists will say pessimistic regardless, which I think I generally am. I'm a bit of a pessimist, to be perfectly honest with you. But, I've talked before how I approach my collecting where I use profits to buy my PC stuff. So it sort of doesn't matter how the market is going, right? I'll always be buying cards. It just means things might be slower or faster depending on how things go. But if you approach it like I do, right, and you pay things with only via profits, then you're going to be fine irrespective of what the market does. And I think a lot more people need to sort of do that. He showed his one t-shirt printing press. It's been in all his videos. He's so stupid. Is at that 1340 collective. Like I said, people have given me dirt about that as well. Yeah, that's basically what his statement was, right? Which I thought was pretty funny. And it was something that I thought about after recording. I was like, fuck, I should have said something like that in my video. But it's hard to remember what to say sometimes. So it is what it is. Yeah, all of it together. So it goes to my point earlier, like all these little things add up eventually within his videos, right? It's hard to sort of say, okay, well, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it's probably a duck, right? And in his videos, he's joking about scamming people and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, we have to take you for what you say, right? Yeah, like you said, he uses that kid Dylan to do that sort of stuff as well. So it's interesting. Exactly. So you can't trust anyone because even their pack odds are wrong. So that is an interesting point. Whatnot is a scammer's paradise. It's a joke what goes on that platform. It's ridiculous. Wrestling cards, yeah, like I think that goes for most things, right? The stuff from the 80s and 90s seems to be really popular and people go crazy for that sort of thing, but it's very targeted, like I said. But people are sort of chasing the modern stuff, thinking it's going to do the same sort of thing, which even the stuff like one of ones and things like that, is that really going to hold value long term? I'm not sure, because it just seems to be like so crazily priced at the moment. Got to scam the scammers out. That would be a good way to go about it. You and Sports Card Radios are my favorites. Good information all around. Thank you for that. They are significantly better than I am, but I just try and do my best. He also never offered to refund a single dollar to anyone who got caught and tried to still get away with it. Like the thing that I found really annoying with those repacks, right, was that he talks about, giving people freebies from his PC, but we've heard lots of rumors, like I said in my video, about Backyard Breaks doing that. And, does it really make the loss all that better if you hit a $100 card in a $1,000 repack and the other card that he gives you is also worth $100? Like, whether you've lost 900 or 800, it doesn't really make a fucking difference at the end of the day, right? You need to be doing more to look after your customers. And I've said this before. You watch the good breakers. The good breakers, go about things the right way for their customers, right? They'll see that happen and be like, shit, here's a hobby box or something along those lines, right? They'll go above and beyond, but also keeping in mind that the good breakers aren't ripping off their customers like that either. But I had somebody send me a detail of a live that Justin ran, and this is not on YouTube anymore. It's the first one that he did, actually. It was a test one, and this person basically showed me the comps and what they hit and what they bought, and they spent like $700 and got back like $80 worth of cards, right? And they hit a $50 card, and then he got given another $50 card for free, and it's like, does that make my loss any better? Is that meant to make me feel good? Is that meant to make me want to trust you again as a person? And I think what's also pretty obvious is that the people that bought this sort of stuff obviously didn't know much about it. That's their own fault. But it doesn't look like there was repeat customers, right? It looked like there were fans, which he, preyed on, right? It was predatory behavior, in my opinion, that I referenced in my first video, to get his fans that trust him to buy this sort of stuff. They got burned and then they fucked off, right? They didn't come back. So he just kept hoping that was going to happen with fans being ignorant and all that sort of stuff. I just think it's a really, shit way to go about it, and it's hard to believe the guy when he said he didn't know what he was doing, especially when he's putting out videos and he's hitting a card and it's a shit card, like it's a dog shit card, and he's making it out like it's a Tesla, right? I don't like that. I don't like that behavior at all. And that's the behavior that sort of makes me question whether or not he was actually being genuine or not. And I'm sure many of you would probably agree on that. It's very hard for me to feel sorry for someone who spends $1,000 on a repack. That's a good week's pay where I live. And I agree, it's like $1,400, $1,500 Australian, if not more, depending on the exchange rate right now. Like, it's hard to feel sorry for somebody, doing that. But it's just weird. People do funny things, right, where they're watching content creators and they feel like they're friends with them. I've said this before too, right, where you watch these people all the time and you listen to what they have to say, and you got to be careful with that, because you don't know if they're telling you what they're telling you out of the goodness of their heart, or they're doing it because they're getting paid, right? I've talked about that with Mojo Sports before, with some of his sponsors, in particular, Mark's Cards, right? He basically told people that was a good business and they should use it, right? But in the back of his mind, he clearly had no fucking idea what Mark's Cards was doing, yet he still said it, right? And then you got viewers that are watching Mojo and they watch him every single day and they meet him at shows and they think he's a really nice guy, so they buy what he's selling essentially. But you can't do that because you don't know that fucking person, right? And this guy was relying on that mindset for these people to buy those repacks, and it's just weird. People just feel like you're friends with the person you're watching. And I say all the time, even for me, like, you don't know me. Like, you can't trust what I'm saying. You should take everything I say with a grain of salt, right? Pinch of salt, whatever the saying is. Like fuck me at the end of the day. Don't listen to what I have to say. Listen to me and then everyone else at the same time. But these guys are sort of not doing that. It's just really unfortunate, especially, right, with someone like Justin Gamble, where he talks in the past about the vast majority of his viewers are kids. Like, it's just fucking crazy to me how he knows that and still does stuff like that. And I'm sure people that bought some of that stuff maybe were kids. It's just bullshit. So I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say. I watched local auctions and they were selling cards and said to me, come to Whatnot to bid. I said, I'm not using that scammy shit. I agree. Whatnot is obviously a really interesting concept, but I wouldn't use it for that reason, because it's just so easy to get scammed on that platform. He's got a talent agent manager. My brain's not working. Sorry, guys. I have a 1-of-1 PSA 10 Don Morocco lunch bag with the bologna sandwich inside. Nice, excited. Don't know who Don Morocco is. I'm assuming that's the person who makes the bologna. We don't call it bologna in Australia, by the way. We call it mortadella. So I'm not sure why you guys in the States call it bologna, but I've always found that pretty funny. Money's the root of all evils, especially one other thing that I've talked to as well, right? It's so much easier in this space to scam people, because one of the things that people will have struggle with when they're trying to scam someone is having to see the person's reaction face to face, right? Or the fact that you actually have to deal with the person. What makes it so easy for these guys is that they, do it online, so they never get to see the victim. So it completely allows them to, disassociate with the whole process, and it's just really weird. I wish these platforms came down a lot harder on this kind of bullshit. And like I said many times, right? Regulation is coming in some capacity, and these guys better pray to God that it's not going to be, government intervention, right? Because if it is, you're going to see guys go to jail for some of this crap, because it is fraud in a lot of these, cases. Justin Gamble is a arsehole. I think that is pretty fair based on what we've seen, to be perfectly honest with you. Leaf is really good about giving extra product when a box is a dud. I've heard that as well, and I've heard they're okay with like replacements. They don't seem to get a lot of love from people within the hobby. Maybe it's because their product is still a bit expensive in of itself. Like I said in my video comment, he acted all excited when pulling lame garbage. If you spend $1,000 for a guaranteed 1-of-1, would you get excited about Devin Singletary? Probably not. I actually think his 1-of-1 boxes weren't $1,000. That was the high end box. I think the 1-of-1 box was like $730 or $680 or something along those lines. But still, it's total bullshit. I think it goes to what I said. It's because it's easy, right? It's easy to rip people off in this space because it's all basically online, and people are really gullible, and everyone's trying to grift everyone, unfortunately. So it is what it is. To a seasoned collector, no, probably wouldn't excite them too much, but to a newbie, who knows? I think you're referring to the repack. Yeah, I think it's preying on that naivety, right? I've said that before as well. Take one look at Mark's cards. You could tell he's a muppet. Yeah, but again, like the other thing to talk to, right, with stuff like this is a lot of these guys that have these huge followings, from a vlogger perspective, are, in their early to mid 20s, right? They don't really have a whole lot of life experience. They all typically have the same sort of backstory, in the sense that they're high school dropouts, or they didn't go to college, or they're in between jobs and all that sort of stuff. And they then got given this platform, and all of a sudden they've got this huge following, they've got this huge influence, they're making good money, really, but they don't have the experience to sort of back them up. And, to clarify, I'm not using high school dropout as something to put them down, right? I'm a high school dropout myself, but it's just interesting, like these guys getting given these platforms and having money thrown at them and all this power, but they don't really have either the work experience or the life experience to help them make, sound decisions. So a lot of it can be put down to naivety on themselves, but then also they should be doing a lot more to look after people that watch them as well. So it is interesting that you see it happen a lot within that space, especially with, the male content creators. Dan broke Justin Gamble. Dude is now allowing access to his Discord for free, citing a bad market. I talked to that a little bit earlier. I think his, example of why the market's bad is a terrible take, and that's going to be a talking point for the next video. And it's also going to be a talking point about the whole Discord as well, because I think he's done somewhat of a rug pull there, and I think it's total fucking bullshit. And I'm going to, share my thoughts on that in the next video. I won't do that now because I need to think through it a little bit more. People, when they gamble, chase the highs, no different than any other vice. So these influencers tell these people to buy my shit. You might hit something nice, and they buy into it. Yep, 100% correct. They rely, like I said, on that naivety, and it's just disappointing. And they prey on that mentality, right? It's not like it's, just a random scam where they're trying to get you to buy something, right? They're actively getting people to buy into this stuff. And if you watch the streams, the most disappointing thing is the fact that they pressure people into buying this shit, right? That's the stuff that I don't like, and that's why it's really disappointing, and it's sort of hard to argue against. And it's maybe not super relevant to Justin in that instance, but other guys that do the same thing, these breakers that pressure their buyers, right? And they prey on that degeneracy mindset, right? Where these people are addicted to gambling and addicted to breaking and all that sort of stuff. They prey on that mentality, and it's just really fucking terrible. And it's something that Whatnot and Fanatics Live need to monitor, right? That stuff is not okay, and it's an easy thing to fix, right? I just don't know why they don't want to try. Like, don't forget, it's just cardboard agree. Like, and people need to think of that when they're buying this shit in the first place. I appreciate you for saying that. He's doing damage control and reputation repair. That's why. What I will say about him, right, is those 2 videos I put out, I put a bit of effort into find the information, right? And people reach out to me. I had dozens of people reach out. I've now got dozens more, and there's a lot more that I want to talk to you here. But what do you think you could actually find if a sports card radio went through his stuff, right? Ryan and Colin have been doing this a lot longer than I have. They're a lot better at spotting some stuff, and obviously got a bigger platform too for people to reach out to them for. I've got a tiny channel compared to them. My views don't go anywhere near what theirs do. So Imagine if they started talking about this guy or looked into him a little bit further. Imagine what they'd find. You know, to find all that information about these repacks and the rug pull with this whole Discord, at least that's what it looks like to me. It's my opinion. Imagine what they could find if they looked into it, right? Imagine what you could find if you looked through, you know, his 2 years of videos or whatever it was, 18 months. Maybe it's less, actually. I don't think he's been around that long, but he's done daily videos for at least the last 6 months. So that's a lot of content to sift through, right? That's a lot of hours where he could have made himself out to look like an absolute scammer or idiot. And that's what needs to be kept front of mind when people are basically saying, well, he's just done this one issue. It's like, well, if he's going to all this damage control, maybe there's more stuff. Maybe he's got more skeletons in his closet. Dan Morocco, WWE Hall of Famer. I do apologize for that, or Don Morocco, I should say. What era was he from? Because I don't know that name. Was that, you know, 60s, 70s? Or was it later? What's the main sport you collect? I collect everything. I go through phases. At the moment, I'm chasing a lot of soccer. I think soccer is probably the one closest to my heart, to be perfectly honest with you. And you can see a lot of my, you know, more expensive soccer cards and nicer cards up there. But I collect everything. It'd be probably soccer, basketball, and then obviously the Australian sports in and around that as well. But I go through phases. So at the moment, it's a big soccer focus, but there's obviously cards on my list that I'm still super excited about. I've got, you know, a set that I'm working on over here. The camera won't show it up too well, but this is Select 13-14, and I'm working on the Purple Pulsar set for the rookies within that. I'm working on the Purple Pulsar set for White Hot. And I'm not sure if I mentioned Select 13-14 basketball, but that's what it is. That was the first hobby box that I actually bought, so it holds a special place in my heart, but it is what it is. It's crazy to me. I watched the first 2 streams he deleted, and I shocked, but I didn't think to message you about it. So, my brain is not working. I can't read that sentence, but I didn't think to message you about it. LOL. So word to whoever opened your eyes. Okay, now I get what you're saying. Listen, I'm a bit stupid today, so please just bear with me. But I had a few people message me, and there was somebody that said, you need to check out this live like now. So I checked it out. I really wish the 2 that got deleted were still up, because the one that I got sent a link to that was made private was apparently the worst of the lot, and the cards that were coming out of those repacks were, you know, dog shit to the dog shit that I talked about in the 2 videos that I had. So there's a reason why he deleted those, right? And that's something we need to think about as well when we're talking about him. Jimmy Snooker, I've heard that name before, but I'm not sure who old mate Don is. So that's a bit embarrassing for me if I'm missing something super obvious, but it is. Again, forgive me, guys. My brain's not working too well today. They won't unless it's egregious, Dan. It's an unregulated market. No rules. You have to do it on the level of SPF. And I think, like, obviously, the way it is right now, that is definitely true. But if you look at, you know, what Fanatics is trying to do, and I've mentioned this a few times, right? They're trying to get listed on the stock exchange. And if they do, something like Fanatics Live would become a material, you know, segment of their business, which would mean that Fanatics Live would have to have a big uplift in, you know, the controls, the processes, all that sort of stuff. And they will be audited by an external auditor. So with that kind of oversight, they're going to be in a lot more, or they're going to be pressured a lot more than what they are right now to actually fix things. And if they do have to fix things, right, you're not going to see the shit that you're seeing right now, at least with how easy it is for it to happen on Fanatics. So on Whatnot, I should say, sorry. So I think, you know, it's going to come eventually, especially if Fanatics get listed, but it's probably not going to be what we need it to be, right? You're probably still going to have people jumping on there and scamming and all that kind of bullshit. Justin Gamble eating lobster tail on fillets, while his poor $70 Discord members are fed cold Dominoes at the National. That's Jordan Belfort. And I think, you know, for what I'm going to talk to in the next video, that might be a pretty fair comparison. G'day, Global. How's it going, mate? Before authorities get involved, it's that if you steal from rich people, they matter. Steal from poor people, who cares? That's the government attitude. And that's probably fair just based on how we've seen scams happen in life. But, you know, there's no way in hell that Fanatics will get listed and allow crap like this to happen, because that could have a significant issue on their ability to get listed in the first place. And it's just something you need to think about who you buy from, you know, right now and whatnot, because there's a reason why Fanatics are vetting people the way they are, because they're already preempting this sort of pressure from governments and regulators. And if you think otherwise, I don't think you're thinking through the situation super clearly. The way he switched it up, started selling 2 spot coin flips, it was obvious. Yeah, I didn't like about that. He used the whole duck race thing as well. I think it's because people weren't buying. But I also was really disappointed to hear his excuse around, I was just trying to do what, the breakers were doing, or I'm just watching what Overtime Pools does, which was actually funny because Overtime, who he referenced, got taken off Whatnot a few days later for basically ripping off a customer. So it's funny that he used them as his yardstick of who he was trying to measure himself against. But it's just weird, right? You think if you're going to be doing things the right way and you want to be selling stuff to people, you're not going to make it up as you go along, and you're not going to just try and copy what breakers are doing. You're gonna do right by your customers. I'm sure if I was to do a repack, I would not be doing it like that. Maybe I would. Who knows? Everyone wants money for nothing these days and chicks for free. It would be nice to get chicks for free, to be honest. I never caught you live. Love to you, my friend from Maryland in the US. How's it going, Rob? Hope you're doing well. Kiwi Cards, we know exactly how much he made from it. If you get him on a live stream, would love to know. I'm still trying to work towards that. As I said, he's ghosted me probably the last 12, 24 hours. But we'll see what happens. If he does come live, I'll do something. If not, then I'm going to probably dunk on him a little bit harder. What did I miss on the Ship My Cards video? What they mess up? So Ship My Cards didn't. It was PWCC. It was actually this. I can't show it on camera because it's not showing up, but it's his Franz Beckenbauer rookie. It's from 1965. One of the greatest soccer players of all time, SGC2. Jason, the guy that I had on the live stream 2 live streams ago, bought this from PWCC. He knew I wanted one. He's like, I bought this. Are you interested? I'm like, yes, I'll take it. In the image on PWCC's website, I did show this in the video. So if you want to look at it clearly, you can. It didn't look like it had any issues, right? It looked like it was a harshly graded SGC2. We thought maybe it could grade higher out at PSA. Unboxed the card in Friday night, Australian time, and dropped the video today. And you see me look at the card. It's got these huge indents within it all along, basically the whole top of the card. There's like these really deep divots. It looked like somebody's rolled something across it, like a Hot Wheel or something. And it doesn't show up on the scan for PWCC, but it looks like, you'll see the card in the video. It looks like fucking terrible. And I'm shocked that they, I'm shocked that they didn't list it in the description. And I'm shocked it didn't show up in their scans, because it shows up in the SGC scan. Which is something maybe I should have checked before paying for it, which is something that, maybe Jason should have checked before bidding on it. But the PWCC scans are quite clear, and it's just shocking that it's not visible. So did they do something dodgy there? Did they Photoshop? They've had Photoshop rumors about them as a business for a long time. Like, it's insane. So Jason's going to communicate with them. Hopefully they can make it right. If not, I'm going to chuck up a big stink about it, because that's not a way to treat your customers. So it is what it is. Sports Card Radio has begun looking into him. It's on their community page. Are you referring to the article they wrote, Hans? Maybe let me know in another comment. Respect on calling it scammers. Thank you. I appreciate that. It looks like I'm a bit far behind, 9 minutes behind in the chat, so I do apologize. But I'm just trying to do my bit, right? I hate seeing people get taken advantage of. So I'm just trying to call stuff out so people can be made aware, because one of the disappointing things, over the last 2 to 3 years is how little pushback we actually saw, and how many people we saw got scammed in the 70s. Okay, my bad for not knowing who he was. All these clowns charging for Discords and Patreon memberships are delusional. I don't mind Patreon. I'll tell you why in a sec. Let me just take a quick squeeze of my Pepsi Max. If Pepsi want to give me a sponsor, I'm your guy. Oh, fuck. I don't mind Patreon, I think is what I was just talking to. The reason being is that some content creators use that, right? You've got content creators out there that are putting in a lot of effort to make their videos, and I can understand why they'd want that additional income, especially if it's going to be something that helps them do it full time. But the whole Discord one, or the whole Patreon, and then they're using the Patreon money for nothing other than trying to get more money out of their viewers, I think is total bullshit. I think that's where the problem is coming from. Swish Breaks, yes, I have. I think something happened with them recently, right? There was somebody sent me a story about them that I was looking into, and then it turned out to be nothing wrong. Or were they one of the people that hit the Triplicate 1-of-1s? The name sounds familiar, so maybe correct me or update me down below. The current market makes me happy that people often ignore Hall of Famers, made it easier to get down to only 12 NFL Hall of Fame autographs that I need. That's really cool. The market's always been down on Hall of Famers for the most part, though. Like, I was buying a shit ton back in 2014-15. I sold it all in 2017 when I purchased my house. I've talked to that story before, and that stuff was always, dirt cheap. And, I'm happy. Like, I think the people that are actually in this hobby, right, and they want to be in it for the long term, and even if you're a flipper, right, you're sort of happy now because you can probably buy cards. Well, not probably, you can buy cards for a lot cheaper than you could previously. And for someone like you chasing very specific things, this is going to help you get to that end goal a lot faster. You think Prism 2014 World Cup set will hold value? My favorite ever soccer set. I'm not entirely sure, to be perfectly honest with you. It's hard to know with soccer. Like, I feel like a lot of the market is propped up by people that don't know the sport, and it's propped up by people that are trying to make the set and the sport be collectible long term. Like, you've got, and by that I mean you've got a lot of people that seem to be basketball collectors, baseball collectors that are buying into Prism soccer and flawless soccer and all that sort of stuff with the hope that it's going to match the pricing of the sports that they do love and collect. So that's where the tricky part comes in. It's, are the people buying it because they like it, or are they buying it because they think it's going to be worth money long term? And that's where I'm still unsure. When I look at when people talk about it on the forums and on social media and on, you know, videos and stuff like that, most of the time they don't really seem to be passionate about the sport, which is the concerning thing, right? Because if basically everyone shares that same sentiment, or the vast majority of people collecting it share that same sentiment, they're going to want to sell it eventually, which means there's probably not going to be too many buyers for it, which means the price will come down quite hard. But I think if things were, you know, to maintain value, you'd expect it to be things like Prism World Cup, right, 2014, because it was the first time they released it. Things like Flawless Soccer, things like 2018 Eminence, things like 2015 Select. You know, the first year of key product releases, I think, are the ones that, you know, should be appealing long term, right? Because they were the first, right? And that's held strong in, you know, decades of card collecting as well. So not just soccer. Until it's in Whatnot's financial interest to clean things up, it's only going to get worse. Same can be said for PSA's infrastructure issues with the grading scale. And this is actually an interesting point. There's a video that I might talk to in a day or two, because it looks like PSA have been sharing, you know, gem rates across each of their grading facilities. There's 3. There's New Jersey, I forget what the other one is, and then there's also Japan. And the rates for, you know, 8s, 9s, and 10s is virtually identical at each office. And people are saying, well, that's great. It means PSA is consistent. But me looking at that, it looks like pop control to me, not being a consistent grader, because that would imply that you've got people submitting cards at each office of all the same, you know, grade tiers, right? The same card conditions. And that's probably a bit confusing for me to talk to now, but maybe stay tuned for a video or two, because it's just it's an interesting one. He made a daily sports card blog every day for 244 days straight, but disappeared a couple of days ago. And I've got dyslexia as well, so sometimes you'll see me misread, guys, so I do apologize. But that is very interesting that my video drops and then it ruined his streak. So that's that's a big streak to all of a sudden stop doing it, right? Pretty interesting. Did he delete his video titled "I'm quitting sports cards"? Let me take a quick look, actually. Let me see. Someone else can check. Maybe someone's already responded, but I thought it was still up from what I saw. Let me quickly check.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Oh, you just heard him. No, it's still up. It's up there from 5 days ago. I can still see it. I missed a lot of the live, but I missed the days when 1-of-1 cards actually meant something. I completely agree. We haven't talked too much at the triplicates just yet, but it's just weird. Like duplicate 1-of-1s have always been around, but it just seems to be so much more pervasive these days, especially with the amount of money that you have to pay. No, I don't. I feel like maybe I read something about that, but I'm not sure off the top of my head, so I do apologize. Every time I get on Fanatics or whatnot, the breaks are high dollar as hell, way too expensive. And I think that stuff is going to stay that way, unfortunately. One of the ideas I had was that, you know, Fanatics Live could mandate the maximum you could sell a box for, considering they're going to be the ones selling the boxes to the breaker. So they could basically set a floor and a ceiling. But I don't think they're going to do that. And I think that's a bad look for the hobby, and it's going to get more of the same, to be honest. Especially the way it looks, right, is Fanatics wants to have a breaking focus, right? Is at least my opinion as to how things are moving. So if that is the case, then I think we're going to, you know, see things get more expensive. And again, that's just my opinion. Kiwi, I not sure what you're saying there. Kiwi, I didn't. Or DIT was horrendous QC on them. They pulled it after the Bowman triple fractor issue. Not sure what you're referring to there. Sorry, Warlock. I never gave Justin money, but the breaks I saw, he did give people Herbert and a few Purdy rookies when they had been hot. When they had been hot at the end, didn't cover what the buy was in, but came close to on early breaks. I'm happy to look into that, Rob. If you can give me specific timestamps and comps on what you think those things were, I'm happy to take a look. because again, if that is the case, I'm happy to clarify. But from what I did see in the 2 streams and what I have been told about the streams that were deleted or made private, the things he gave away for free weren't worth squat. Justin Gamble blaming it on copying other breakers was just him not taking accountability at all. I think a lot of it was deflecting, and I think a lot of people have talked to that as well. I can break with a Facebook guys way cheaper and more honest. I agree. Rob M, how do you know it wasn't one of his friends that gave it back to him to run another repack scam? Been known to happen, and there's more than a good chance that's what happened there. And that is pretty fair. And we've seen other breakers do that before as well, right? Where the cards are giving away for free, and maybe something that the person already owns, or the person they're giving it away to free or for free to is a mate of theirs, as you've talked to their warlock, and that's something that we do need to keep front of mind as well. Several of his repack rumors for now, but it smells like a duck. Yeah, exactly. What happened to that breaker who got pissed and started belittling buyers on Whatnot? Are you referring to the guys that got taken off Whatnot? Was that Overtime Pools? Can't remember. Your background, by the way, Back to the Future badass. I appreciate you. So that is, I wasn't remember what shoulder to point my finger over, but that is a Hot Toys set. So that's a DeLorean from the second film, as you can tell, because it's flying. The one above it is from the first film, but they're all Hot Toys figures. If I can figure out which way to move my head. You can see Back to the Future 2 Marty, which is pretty rare these days. I think it came out in 2017, but it's sourced for a crap ton of money now. That's the third film Marty, second film Doc, and then you've got the original version of the first film Marty from Hot Toys, the Doc, and then the remake of the Marty, which is, you see where it's going. It's too confusing, my brain's not working, but they are pretty cool. Hot Toys are awesome. I'm not sure if anyone else collects them, but I like to chase them because they are awesome, and those DeLoreans are to scale. They're all 1/6 scale figures. I really wasn't a fan of Justin Gamble's response to checklists. And again, I think I could have gone a lot harder on him on that than what I did. I just wanted to focus in on trying to make the process a bit more transparent. But I think it was a bit of a cop-out. Like others have said, you can make a checklist and the person buying it doesn't have to look at it, right? But I just think it's really piss weak. My expectation for him, like I said in the video, was to either, if you don't want to do it an actual player checklist, you're going to have to do it values, but you're going to have to be crystal clear about, how those values are determined and all that sort of stuff, because, it's going to be really easy to scam people if you're not being transparent with your checklist. And even if you're using a value-based one, it doesn't mean you're doing a good job. Brian Wells is the real superhero of our hobby. For those of you that don't know who he is, he's the one who owns and runs Ship My Cards, which is a mail forwarding service that those of us not in the States use. You can also use it if you are in the States to save on sales tax. They do a great job. I think they do it better than most. It's just a bit unfortunate lately that their fees are sort of going up in price, but I still use them because they are by far and away the best at what they're doing. Are they roller lines? I don't think so, Kiwi. I think you need to check the video. I would have thought roller lines would have been a consistent line across the whole thing, but this is like, an indent and then a space and then another indent and then another space, and it looks like it's equally spaced between each of the indents. So it looks like a roller with pins on it or something that somebody's rolled across the front of the card. Maybe it was the roller from manufacturing, but it looks odd to me. Almost looks like a wheel that with like bumps on it that somebody just rolled across it, like an old school stamp or something. It's really annoying. I'm shocked. Like if you check out the video, you can see that they're actually pretty deep. You can even see it on the video how deep they are. Like they're deep enough that they're pushed through on the back quite far. But when you look at the PWCC listing, it doesn't look like that at all, right? It looks flat and smooth and all that sort of thing. So I'm just shocked that you couldn't see it in the scans, right? I'm shocked that their scans didn't pick it up, is the point of what I'm trying to say. Hello, Dan. Thank you for all you do. Hello, everyone in the chat. How's it going? A league of her own. And apologies again to everyone. Your images are showing up inverted because I'm forcing dark mode on my StreamYard so my face isn't washed out from the white screen. Thoughts on Ryan Cards and his Discord. I've not looked into him too much, to be honest. Like, I don't mind the whole Discord thing if there's sort of like an added value to it. Most of these guys make you pay for it and then say, well, it's to keep scammers out. We want to use this as a gatekeeper sort of thing to stop, scammers from coming in. Then what often happens is these guys set up these Discords and then basically they dip and leave it to turn to shit, which is apparently what happened with Justin before he decided to come back. And that's where the problem comes from. If we saw, Roth Cards and Sports Card Taxi and a few of those guys, Kenneth Fornos, try to make their own, and they copped so much hate from it that they, made it free effectively immediately. And one thing I want you guys to maybe help me with is, did they give refunds for the people that signed up for that? And I'm curious to see if they did, because Justin has come out and said he's not doing that, which is a pretty dog move in my opinion. Kiwi Cards talking to Scott's Collectibles, I think it was. Tons of pushback until the pandemic. Then all the breakers and newbie wannabes and investors knew it all. Most seasoned collectors knew the train wreck that was ahead. And I agree. And what's disappointing is that people were sort of shouting that kind of stuff, but those channels, those people weren't listened to. They weren't picked up. They were pushed down by these guys that were given these platforms and all that sort of stuff. So it was very disappointing to see. Acme, a real one. I agree. Let me see. Bob looked at his wife's behind it, as many dimples as that soccer card Dan picked up. Well, dimples are usually a good thing, just not on your cards or your wife's behind. So I'm glad to see we both are as sad as each other. Never understood why people pay thousands for rookies that haven't done anything instead of $50 to $100 each for Hall of Famers. It's always been around, right? It's just weird. Like, it's literally always been around within the hobby. Prospecting has always been a thing. Now, because you sort of had a much smaller hobby back then, like, you'd probably often find more people that were chasing, Hall of Famers as you do now, but it's just weird to me how people pay these crazy prices and all that sort of stuff. I need to try and catch up on the chat. I'm really far behind. The new soccer fans are also the ones who recently became fans of Star Wars. Exactly, that was the point I was trying to make earlier, right? Where they're also the fans who became fans of things like MetaZoo and fans of F1 and fans of, some other shit that I can't think of right now. It's just all the same people, right? And that should concern people if you've got a lot of money into those spaces, in my opinion. Definition of fanatic: an individual or organization filled with excessive and single-minded zeal, especially for an extreme particular case. Someone's going to have to correct me what zeal refers to, because my brain, I guess, again, I'm going to say it like 5 or 6 times now. My brain is not working too well today. I've been following Justin and the Gamble crew every day since day one. They are nice guys, but definitely in it for the quick buck, and the repacks didn't seem like it was worth it for the price. That's why I was a bit surprised. Like, if you watch the guy's channel, it's pretty easy to spot what his, approach, what his shtick was, right? But many, bought into it, but it doesn't make it okay, right? Just because he's acting like a gambler and all that sort of thing, it doesn't make it okay. So yeah, that's the hobby multiverse. They're paying, buying, investing in the potential. Hall of Famers can't run stats. They're retired dead, so there is a floor built in for the cards. It doesn't have to move much. I think the rest of the comment is coming up later. Jap's family cult. Justin grumble, licking his wounds after latest Dan video. And unless he replies to me to do this, live stream that he was, talking about doing with me, he's going to be licking his wounds a bit more with the next one. Unfortunately, let's see. Stick to Oscar, gamble, and you'll be much better off. 5 days again. I'm not sure what some of this stuff is referring to. The hobby is a herd mentality, to be honest. Collectibles overall is prone to what they call fads. It's why Beanie Babies were in, and now you can't give them away. I think that's a good point. Why I'm quitting sports cards, I'm a thief and got caught. That would be an interesting video title to see come from him. I think my only gripe with Leaf is that they do too many one-of-ones. I agree with that. How's it going, Ziggy? Sorry, guys. Thank you, Dan, for calling that shady people try to bring new people into the hobby and taking advantage of their zero knowledge. Justin Gamble has no place in the hobby, has a shady past as an entrepreneur. And what's been really interesting about, seeing some of this shit over the last couple of years is that I've already referenced it today, but the people that are at the forefront don't have much more knowledge than the person, they're scamming or trying to rip off. So I wonder if that plays into it as well, that the naivety of these individuals just seems to make a whole lot of sense because the person they're seeing on camera, sounds and knows about it as much as they do as well. Fanatics did make rules, no duck races, no fillers, no random teams from what I understand. Yes, I believe that is the case, but we'll see how long that, stays true. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody's already replied by now. If they haven't, maybe they can reply again. And that's probably why they're so expensive, because they don't have 30 fillers that pay and get nothing. Probably fair. Definitely deflecting. All repacks are scams. Friends, don't let friends buy repacks. I've told this before, again. I think repacks are fun, right? I think there's a way you can do them, right? And some people do them well. I think Run Good Life does it well. Card Lab in Australia does it well. But again, for the most part, they are crap. And people take advantage of them. So aside from the select few that do it well, most are scams. I will 100% agree with you on that. I almost bought one of those DeLorean piles of junk in the 80s. I really want one, but they're so expensive here in Australia. and they run like crap. Do I chase limited Funkos? I have some. So in the front room of our house, we have like a bit of a cinema room, shoddily one that I made, not too flash, but we have a bunch of Funkos, the wife and I, that we do collect. But I'm sort of over them, to be honest, because they're just mass produced these days. They're not like what they were in the past. I sold all the ones that I bought back in the day that were worth a lot of money, but for now it's just some stuff that we'll buy every now and then to put in our room and show off with all our movie posters and all that sort of stuff. League of Her Own, chasing the Ziggy or chatting to Ziggy. I don't know, my nephews collect the Ravens. Why I didn't buy in, I can't resell her, but I'm here for those kids. Had no value to me. Just respect the full story. It's fair. Where's the video on card letter pick scam from 2010? I think Ziggy's got one of that. There's a video I need to watch that Ziggy sent me that I haven't had the chance to do it yet. Like I said, I've had food poisoning. I was out for a few days, but that's on the list. I saw he posted a video today. I think it was Ziggy. So I will check it out. No one goes after Packbuster for promotion of Universal Treasures. Repacks, guess it depends on personality. I'm not sure who Packbuster is. I'm happy to look into them though, Brendan, if you want to send me a DM. If cards are easy to flip, why would someone feel the need to repackage them in a repack? Think people. Like I said, I think repacks have a place, right? I think repacks at a card show are a lot of fun, right? And there's ways you can do them to make them fun for people. But, the good repackers don't do what people like Justin Gamble do, right? They'll have a repack and have, a big card in there, but, the rest of the cards are going to get you like 70% of your money back, right? And I can see stuff like that working. Like Cherry Collectibles in Australia recently did one for 86 Fleer, where in every single pack you got a 86 Fleer graded card with the chance of obviously getting a Jordan and some of the other rookies from that set. So that was interesting, right? It was expensive. I think it was too expensive, but that kind of thing where it's a bit of a fun thing to chase, and they've given you some context, even though they don't have a checklist. I think it's fine when it's all for fun. It's just these other guys that are selling you an $1,100 repack and they're putting a $60 card in there, ruins it. And I should clarify, right? Somebody said the $60 comp that I referenced was incorrect. The seller apparently ended the auction early, but they found a comp that sold for $160. So forgive me, right? It's much better, right? We can give Justin forgiveness now because he put a $160 card into a $1,100 repack, right? That's so much better, obviously, guys, right? I'm obviously an idiot for saying it was a scam and ripping people off because it was a $60 card and not a $160 card. Forgive me, guys. I run a small mailbox and grading service for overseas collectors / friends, and I've gotten a few guys from Ship My Cards over changes they made. I'm keen to hear what you're doing, to be honest, because, like I said, Ship My Cards have increased their fees. Also, I was going to say FedEx have also increased their shipping fees as well. It's getting pretty expensive. I shipped something home for that mail day that I opened, you'll see in the video today. That cost me the same amount of money to something that I shipped home in December 2021, and it was maybe like 20% of the cards and weight of what that other shipment was, which was really disappointing. It really looks like some old Adidas studs walked. It does, right? It looks ridiculous. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why the person decided to grade it with that kind of crap on there, but I'm more shocked that PWCC didn't disclose it. And for anyone confused what I'm referring to, check out my video from today. It's near the end of the video. I show you what the listing screenshot looked like and then also what the card looked like that I did get in my mail day. I think the problem with Justin Gamble repacks is he would buy a card that comped for $400 6 months ago for $50 and then pretend like it, yeah. And I think that's part of the problem as well, right? And that's something we've definitely seen. How many of the third one of one shop? Now, still only the one, which is a bit surprising to me. Now, I'm not sure why that is the case, because it doesn't make sense for there to only be one player with 3 cards. So I'm sort of expecting it to all come through at the same sort of time. And if it's not, maybe people are, trying to cover the information. Who actually knows? But if anybody sees any other ones, please do share it with me. Gamble got uglier and uglier over time. Cardboard Hill, 99.999% of modern cards will be worthless as time goes on. Only the GOATs will hold strong value, and it takes a full and accomplished career to become a GOAT, not 10 minutes, think people. And again, you can shout that from the rooftop, but people are not going to listen, right? They've not done it for decades, so it's not going to change anytime soon. What I find hilarious, right, is that you've got people sort of buying prospects and then they get burned, and the way they try and make up for it is to buy prospects again to try and burn somebody else. It's right. It's like this circle jerk of like just ripping people off. It's just weird how people don't learn. We've been burned a lot with recent prospects. It's just crazy how people don't don't understand that. Stop making these repackers and breakers rich. Kind of all accumulated in these live streams, or culminated in the live streams in the end. Yes, it's very much what it looks like. Warlock talking about some of the things that he likes, which I'm guessing they're prospects you're referring to. But actually paid to see Scamble on a live with you where we can all call him off and watch him fumble and stumble all over himself. So I'm still open to it. Like I said at the start, he reached out, wanted to do a chat. I had food poisoning, so I couldn't talk to him when he wanted to. He's happy to do a live. I was hesitant. Oh, maybe not hesitant. That's the wrong word. The one reason why I was against doing a live is because I think the comments will turn to shit really quickly based on the people on his side and the people that are against him. And to give you some context, the number of DMs that I've got with people basically telling me they want to kill me and all this kind of stuff, I'm assuming it's because their supporters of him has been a bit insane the last few days. So I think you're going to see a cesspool in the comment section. But, I think it's the most fair way to go about it for everyone. So you can see the transparency. Obviously, if it wasn't going to be a live, it would be pre-recorded and it would be unedited. And he could record it and I could record it. So then we could prove that it was, in fact, unedited. But he sort of ghosted me the last 12 to 24 hours. So maybe it's because he's busy and he hasn't seen it, but he's left me on red. So it's interesting what his reasoning is for that. So it's something that we're working towards. If it happens, it happens. If not, it doesn't. But for his sake, I kind of hope that he does do it because I think it'll be a lot better for him to do it than not do it, in my opinion. So making so much sense. You're talking about prospecting. Greed monsters, I think, is the right way to go about it. My biggest gripe with Justin Gamble is he got me with the I'm quitting sports card clickbait. I blame you, Dan. I was looking for the repacks. I'm sorry about that. But you see that happen all the time. Well, everyone's quitting sports cards at some point. It's all about, the clicks and all that sort of thing. And I think just on this, a train of thought just came back. I don't know if he would stumble over himself. I think he speaks pretty well, to be honest. And if you watch his channel where he's got the 300,000 subscribers, he's used to all this kind of crap, right? He's done this stuff all the time. So, I don't think he would fumble his way through things, but what I think he might struggle with is the tough questions, right? And I've got a list of them that I'm happy to ask the guy, and I'm not going to be someone that sort of lets him talk over me or lets him circumvent a question, right? Or walk himself around a question. And many of you guys in the comments would too. So it'd be really good to see how he would talk to it. Because like I said, if the guy, is being genuine and this is all just a small mistake and all that kind of thing, it's a misunderstanding and there's some clarifications he wants to make, then doing a live stream would fix that very quickly for him. But we'll see. Let's see what else there is. I do memorabilia and not cards, but the whole reason we started doing repacks was to get more value in the products by cutting out the middleman, not to screw the ones. Exactly. And like I said, there's people that do it the right way and you can't begrudge them for doing it, right? It's not the fault of, them that there's dickheads out there, giving it a bad name. And unfortunately, not everyone does it in a good way. How's it going, Jeremy? Probably that is bullshit, to be honest. You do it to get rid of unwanted inventory. I don't think that holds strong. There's definitely people out there that do it the right way, right? Go look at Card Lab, go look at Run Good Life, right? The cards they're putting into those repacks are good. Their checklists are good. You're not going to make your money back with every single pack. No repack would work like that, right? It doesn't work like that. But you can see what you're buying. You can sort of see what the chase is, and it's a bit of fun, right? And from that perspective, it's okay. But when you're talking about people at shows that are doing them, when you talk about breakers that are doing them for the most part, and then people like Justin Gamble, it's clearly done as a revenue source for the person selling the pack first and foremost. Whereas, like I said, the good guys that are doing it as like a supplementary service to their offering, right? They're selling you breaks or they're selling you goods, and this is just like an added dimension of fun, right? And you can comp it out and you can see what their margins are. And the good breakers, like I said in my video, typically have like 10 to 30%, 30% being on the extreme end. So they're not getting rich off them, right? And yes, it does make it easier to sell, unwanted product at the end of the day. But, like I said, the good guys are giving you like 70% of your value back to try and chase something really big. That's for fun, right? You can't be against all repacks from that perspective. Not everyone does it. Not everyone does it from a shady perspective. Let's see. For your pain, people complain about losing 40%. Guys, you're losing 90%. Yeah, it's very fair. I checked eBay comps myself. He lied about comps that Christian Welch has never sold for 560. He claimed the two highest were 400 and 200, with all others 150 or less. I completely agree. And the other thing to keep front of mind, the one that sold for 400 and 200 had a significantly better patch. People clapped back at me and said, well, Daniel, it's not a napkin patch. It's a jersey patch, right? It's freaking one single white color. I think if you can call that anything, it would be a napkin patch, right? And the ones that sold for more, multicolored stitching, much better cards. You can't you can't make those comparable to the one that he put in there, which is what, you know, his supporters were trying to do, right? These so-called experts claiming to know how to make money in the hobby are like a fart that you can't hold in. Painful, well, it's around, but once it's gone, we laugh and forget about it until the next one. You just explained my Thursday night when I had food poisoning because it was hours of a lot of pain. Don't get me wrong, I buy a few boxes to rip for fun to make sense and to maybe get a sweet Red Sox banger, but I'm not spending my rent money on trying to make money in the hobby. It's, yeah, and I agree. And I think that's the problem, right? And that's the bigger problem that I talked to earlier, where you've got these repackers that are preying on that mindset. They know that the people are chasing this sort of stuff. They know that people are sort of degenerates when it comes to buying into these repacks and all this kind of thing. And that's the part that I don't like. And that's the part that is incredibly scammy because they're doing it to rip people off. So it is what it is. I've got another 15 minutes. My wife needs to handle something. So we'll go through the comments and see what else there is. We will destroy him in chat. And yeah, but I just think it'd be really volatile. I think even on his side, like I said, people were like giving me death threats basically in my DMs on Instagram, like wild stuff, right? Because this guy has fanboys that, you know, want to suck up to him. It's like, grow the fuck up, guys. Seriously. Why am I up 120%? It's a very simple mindset that was learned 40 years ago by guys who were actually good. Not one card after 1975, no sets, no one of ones, and no PSA 10s, no paninis. Equals 1 million easy and fun, which is, you know, fair, right? And, you know, like there's nothing wrong with prospecting, but it's just weird when people go about it and they're throwing like all their hard-earned money and they're basically putting all their eggs in one basket. Collect like I collect, right? Pay for things via profit, right? Because then if you prospect from that perspective and shit hits the fan, you're only losing profits. Yeah, that money could have gone elsewhere. You could have bought something for your house or for your loved ones or something, right? But at least you're only losing profits then, right? There's a way to approach things, and unfortunately many are not doing it. I'm not sure who you're referring to there. Kiwi. Yeah, holy shit, Devon Singletary 1 of 1. I rip farts, not cards. Don't mess with Dan the Man for speaking the truth, you geeks. Appreciate that. I have some 90 Don Russ that needs repacking. Like, I'm sure there's some of that going on for sure. There was a really funny story. I think it was from 2022 National. Maybe it was one of the Dallas card shows where there's a video that somebody was going to buy a repack, and I forget whose video this was. Maybe someone can remember, but this guy was setting up at his table and he had a hit card on there, right? And the card that was basically the hit, the comps at the time were higher than the price of all the repacks combined. And this person was like, I want to buy every single repack from you right now. And the guy selling it said no, which tells you all you need to fucking know about the whole situation, right? If you've got somebody doing that and they don't want to sell you all the repacks, it means the card they're telling you is, you know, in there is actually not in there, or they've actually, you know, handed out some of the other repacks to somebody else already and not told anyone, which is total bullshit. So if anyone can find that video, tell me, because it was really funny to see it at the time, and I'm not sure what the outcome was on that repack, if anyone ever hit that card, but it was just funny that he wouldn't sell it to that one seller. Dan, he's just a wannabe influencer wasting money on studio time trying to make the music at the expense of collectors' money from repacks. I think that's a fair assessment, but I will say for him, I wouldn't call him a wannabe influencer. He's probably one of the few in this space that is an actual influencer, because go check out his OG channel. The guy was a big deal in the YouTube space, did some collaborations and stuff with some high-end, you know, influencers and all that sort of thing. So he's probably one of the few that could be called an influencer, and being called an influencer, I should say, is not necessarily a pat on the back that you probably want, right? That's not a nice thing or a nice title to give someone. But yeah, he's probably like the least want to be out of all of them because he's actually done it and made it, right? Justin's packs were nice high-end boxes, but they weren't sealed. He could switch out cards at any time, 100%. And one of the other things that I didn't talk to is, let's say, you know, I've got a random stack of cards here. You've got like 6 or 7 cards. Let's say these were in the repacks. These were the repacks that were opened. He still had 6 other ones, and the chase card is in those 6 other ones. But what he does between streams is maybe he goes back and fills in those other 6 ones that were opened with shit cards again, right? So he's like watering it down every single time it gets opened every night, right? Where typically the way a repack is meant to work is you've got like, you know, 30 repacks that you've made. You don't replace the ones you've already busted for other people. You sell those 30 repacks, and then when they're all sold out, you make it again. And because his things weren't sealed, who's to say that he wasn't replacing, you know, the ones or adding more product to it and all that sort of stuff. So that was a really poor explanation, but I think you guys get what I meant. Seafood plate in a studio he rented. I need to say that because some people have referenced it a few times. Do you follow the NBL? I've started watching it after making a Supercoach team, really enjoying it. I haven't recently. I used to watch it a lot in the 90s. I used to play a lot of basketball back in the 90s. The Razorbacks were a team in Western Sydney and used to play at halftime at their games, which was pretty funny in the stadium. But I haven't watched it for a long time. But I'm really keen to sort of get back into it. Again, it looks like it's getting the marketing a lot more now as well, and it does look interesting from, watching from afar. So I might get back into it global. There's too much money to be throwing around to blame market comps for crappy repacks. I completely agree. Justin basically said it's gambling, so he doesn't need a license for that. That's a very good point as well. I'm not sure how the US laws work, but I imagine you would. If it's gambling, he wouldn't have lied about the floor multiple times. Again, that's a fair point because, like I said, it did change between videos. They need to start chasing ladies. I agree. $1,100 repacks. I think they were, $1,125, Jeremy, is how much they were for the high-end repack, and they had $100 cards within them. There was one guy, I think his name was Lucas. He bought like $2,475 worth of repacks, and I think he made back like $500. He lost $1,900 in the one night, which is crazy to me. Like, you watch the good breakers, right? The guys that do things the right way. If somebody lost $2,500 in one night, you're going to see them give that person a hobby box or something. Like, it doesn't make it right, but like how can you do that to someone, right? Rip them off for $1,900, especially in the current economy. Like, that person needs to be, looked at by a doctor to ask the question, why are you spending that kind of money with this guy? But you as a seller, like, how can you feel like okay in your gut, in your heart to do that to someone? It's just fucked up in my opinion. Put your wife on hold. I'm the king of my castle. Well, I can give you guys the scoop very quickly. We need to work on something because my wife is actually pregnant again, and we're going to do a announcement to my family. So they haven't seen it yet. So you guys are the first ones seeing it, but we're going to do that in a few hours' time. So that's what I need to go give her a hand with, prep that stuff for that announcement. Feel free to reach out. I'm nothing big or special. I'm mainly just helping out friends. I take them mail and ship when ready, get FedEx discounts and grade cards for them and others too. One-stop shop. Sounds cool. I'm selling some repacks half the price of Gamble's guaranteed Will Greer. Listen, if you got Will Greer's in there, I think you're on the money. Yeah, it would 4 times. It probably would, to be honest. Justin hasn't posted a video in like 3 days. I think he had somebody said earlier he had about a 245-day streak or something up until my video, which is pretty interesting. He got caught out as a scammer, Samuel, and like most scammers, has gone silent since. He does do this a lot too. You watch his vlogs and he's like ripping people off left, right, and center with like really low comps, which makes it even more insane then because he's paying not only like 80% of comps. In some instances, he talks about getting things for up under 50%, and he uses his sort of fame to get good deals, and then he's putting them into these repacks, and then when he's quoting the comps back to people, it's the actual comps, not the 50% of comps that he paid, which makes the situation, even worse. So it's insane. I'll likely fly down. So we're going to try and do a live roundtable with the two of them and the Messiah, but we'll see. Thank you, everyone. So that's part of the reason why you won't see me buy too many cards in recent months, or in coming months, I should say. But it's going to be an interesting time ahead with 2 little ones running around. But hopefully I survive and you still see me around. Thanks, everyone, for the well wishes. I'll try and click through them all. But I think that's everything for today, actually. Thanks, everyone, again. Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. If I go down to Melbourne for the hobby hangout, I will be going to the house associated with that person to try and find out if they are, in fact, actually there, and I'll film it for the channel. That way, if I do get shot, you'll at least know who done it. It won't be like the Who Shot Mr. Burns, where you have to wait a whole year to figure out who it was. But it is interesting. So I will try and go down there and chase him if I can. But I don't think he's in the country. People have said that they've joked about him being overseas, but I don't think he's in the country. And it's just weird how that story sort of went cold overnight. And Raul is in the house. How's it going, mate? Thank you for the kind words again. Thank you, Kiwi. But Raul can talk to it too. We used to get so much information about card porn all the time, and nobody's really, talking about it anymore. So it is what it is. So you get part 3 actually. So it'll release Tuesday morning, 4 a.m. my time, which will be Monday night, I believe, in the US. But the easy way to work out is whatever time my videos usually release is what time it's going to come out for you guys on Monday, because it'll be the same 4 a.m. time slot my time. But yeah, stay tuned for that because it's going to be a lot harder of a dunk than the last two because there's some things in there that he's done with his most recent video that I think is total bullshit. And I opened the video with that, but it's one of those things where let's just see what happens next. If you need to run a repack show to afford diapers, make sure we get ripped off real quick. We should do one. We should organize one and then see what happens. I was actually really tempted to do a bit of a skit, to be honest, for video and put some randomized shit in repacks and pretend to be as excited as he was when it did get hit. So if you guys do want to see that, I'm happy to try and put something together. I've not done something like that before, but I think it would be pretty funny. So keen to hear what you guys have to think. So yeah, I'm doing the Lord's work and fighting a good fight. Love seeing your videos and work. Thank you. Like I said, if anybody has any information or anything they want to share, my email is in the description down below. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm always happy to look into things and talk to it. It's hard for me to respond sometimes because of the volume of stuff that does come my way. I get so many emails these days, and that's not meant to be a message saying don't send me emails. I want you guys to send me emails. Just don't think I am ignoring you guys. So stay tuned because it looks like a lot of you guys do want to see that video. So I'll try and put something together for that as well. But I think that is it for today. I need to go help my wife. Exactly this. If there's any other questions, I'll let you guys ask one or two more. If not, I'll drop off because for those of you that do have kids, you'll know that an angry wife is not a happy life, and an angry pregnant wife is definitely not a happy life. So let me know you guys' thoughts. If there's any other questions, if not, I will drop off. I'll give you guys another minute or two. Just quickly reply to her now. All right, thanks everyone. I will go hang out with the missus. I appreciate everyone. Apologies didn't show anything on screen today. I had a bit of an issue with my browser at the start. I hope you guys did enjoy the chat. I really appreciate you guys as always. And I will see you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.